So, what are the two biggest topics that we're going to cover as we look at the beginning of the finals? The NBA Finals kick off on June 6th. Here are the two biggest topics. This is the Double Double podcast. We've got two topics. We've got 10 minutes. Let's go. So, here's what we're going to be doing. We're just launching this podcast brand new, and I've had this idea coming for a long time. Double, we're going to be looking at two topics multiple times a week. For 10 minutes, a little small podcast, a little nugget bite size of some basketball information. And so, as you can tell here, Kentucky fan. So we'll be talking some college basketball. We'll be talking the NBA. Figured what better time to start it than the NBA Finals. And so every podcast, whenever we get into it, we're going to look at two different topics. We've got two topics today as we're going to kind of preview and look at the NBA Finals as a whole. So all 7 games, if we get to that point, whoever comes out the victor, some of those different things. At the end of this, I'll give you my my predictions, kind of my guesses, what I think is going to happen in some of those pieces for the finals as a whole. And then the next day following each game, we're going to do kind of a recap. Okay, did some of the things we say actually happen, or did they not, or what do we need to change, and just kind of react in the moment to what's happening during the NBA Finals. And so looking forward to it, but here we go. We're already a couple minutes in. We got two topics for today. Topic number one is what happens after the top 4 players. So in this series, 2 teams, it's pretty easy to kind of figure out, okay, who are the top 4? You got Luka number 1, you got Tatum or Brown 2 or 3, you got Kyrie number 4. Now, that's how I see things playing out. Now, what is the gap between Luka and Tatum and Brown? And what is the gap between Tatum and Brown? One of the things that when you think back to the Golden State Boston NBA Finals back in the past, Tatum didn't show up. He kind of had a really crappy finals. Jaylen Brown was carrying him. Jaylen Brown has been on fire in these playoffs. And so what is that gap between 2 and 3 of Tatum and Brown? Does it even really matter? Because at the end of the day, if all 4 of those top players play the way that we think they do, they should, the way they normally do, then, okay, they're going to even each other out. So then what happens after that? What happens on players 3 through 5 from both teams? So like when you look at Boston, you know their depth. They've got White, they've got Holiday, they've got Porzingis. Do they have Porzingis? Porzingis is a huge question. We have no idea. My prediction as we look at Porzingis is within the first 6 minutes of his basketball action coming up in game 1, if he's playing, we're going to know exactly how the series is going to unfold for him. He's been on on the bench, in the bullpen, on reserve for over 30 days now. He's not just going to come back and be normal Porzingis. You can't just be 7 feet tall, unload out of nowhere, and start ramping up. Now, if it comes out that he's been practicing a bunch, he's been navigating different things, then yes, maybe there's a way in which he comes back and he's near 100%. But Porzingis injury to the side, let's just say he's 70, 80% of his normal. I still think Boston's depth is too much for Dallas to handle. White and Holiday and Porzingis, Al Horford, the whole gang, it's just that depth is so good. And then when you look at the Dallas side and you go, okay, once you get past Luka and Kyrie, you got PJ Washington, you got Derek Jones, you got Derek Lively, you got Gafford, you got okay, what does that mean in comparison to the Boston players? I think advantage Boston, not even close, but... And I hate to even say that. Like, I'm a Kentucky guy. P.J. Washington's been out of his mind. I love P.J. Washington. My favorite thing about Boston, this is a Kentucky sidetrack for you, is seeing Grant Williams out at Boston, P.J. Washington in Boston, has been the delight of my life. I hate Grant Williams. Sports hate. I hated him. He played at Tennessee. He was always just a goober, floppity flop, Mr. Flopping all day. The attitude that got him kicked out of Boston was the attitude he had at Tennessee, and it kind of worked for him there. They had Admiral Schofield, they had Grant Williams, we had PJ Washington, Tyler Hero. I was in Nashville for the SEC tournament that year when they played on the streets of Nashville. We were going bar to bar, every bar completely packed to the gills before COVID, but they're probably back now, but completely packed to the gills of people just watching the game. And unfortunately, Grant Williams got one up on PJ Washington, and they beat him in the SEC finals. Now, Grant Williams, you're out of Dallas. No ring. Get your stupid butt out of here. PJ Washington in, and let's go. He's been looking great. But I just can't imagine that the Derek Lively Derek Jones and PJ Washington trio is better than the Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Porzingis. Like, that doesn't make sense. I don't see that playing out. But what happens after the top four is a different story now. But here's the key to what happens in the top four is that if Kyrie goes up a notch or continues to do what he's been doing, if Kyrie plays better than Tatum or Brown, if he plays better than one of those guys, series is over. If you know Tatum, if you know Luka's going to be number one, you know Tatum and Brown are going to be number two, and Kyrie's number four. But if Kyrie is two or three, series is over. It doesn't matter. Luka's number one is better than the other guys. It's not going to happen. If Kyrie as the number four in the series is a two or a three, the series is over. It's a wrap. Put a bow on it. Dallas is winning the championship. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Stay tuned for a little bit later. And while we're at it, halfway point, we're one topic in. And so go ahead and like, subscribe, be a part of the conversation, comment below. Let me know, what are your thoughts? We're going to do some live videos here in the next couple months as we get into the draft, as we get into training camp, as we look ahead at college. And so I would love your interaction, want your feedback and some of those things. So like, subscribe, comment, all those different things. Let's get this conversation going. Double, micro podcast, 2 topics, 10 minutes as we look. Topic number 2, here we go. What if Luka is just that damn good? Like, he's just him, and he is him, and all of him, and no one else is even close to him. Like, if Luka is the best player, he's the best player in the series, but what if he is like the best player? What if the gap between Luka and Tatum and Brown is just too much for Boston to handle? What if the gap for Tatum and Brown is just too massive for even their best to compete with Luka? Like, Luka's about to take, he's about to take the crown as best player in the league. If he wins this series, he's taking the crown from Jokic. He's put it on his own head. And there's a history of the best player in the series wins the series. You know, it's like the whole NBA adage. If you have the best player, then you have the chance to win, and you're going to win the series, and yada, yada. Let's look at the finals. So I went back and looked at the finals over the last several years. Did the best player in the series actually come out ahead? So when we look at last year, Jokic wins. Jokic was the best player, hands down, didn't even matter. Jimmy Butler, I'm sorry. The year before that, Steph wins. Yes, he was the best. Wasn't even close. Tatum and Brown, they just continue to be young, continue to take their stripes, continue to learn and figure things out. But Steph was the best player. Steph wins. Year before that, Giannis versus the Suns. I mean, you got the Drew Holiday to Giannis that will just forever be embedded in my brain. Again, Kentucky guy, Devin Booker was there. The Bucks got good when Eric Bledsoe got his butt out of there. I hate that for my man Bledsoe, but I hated to see Booker go down. But Giannis was the best player in the series. They won. Year before that, LeBron wins. LeBron wins over the Heat. He was the best player in the series. Anthony Davis was out of his mind. He probably could have won MVP if he didn't have a sucky, terrible game. He just had an absolute clunker in there in the middle of nothing. And then all of a sudden, they're playing its bubble. LeBron's the best. LeBron's team wins. Now, this is where things get interesting. 2019, Raptors versus the Warriors. Who was the best player in the series? Was it Steph? Was it KD? Nope, KD got hurt. Was it Klay Thompson? Nope, Klay Thompson's out. Was it Kawhi? Kawhi's team wins, so is he the best player in the series? I don't know. Kawhi, Steph, at that moment, Kawhi was probably the best player. So we'll give him the slight advantage, a couple question marks. He had the triple doink shot against Embiid to even get to that point, but we'll give it to him. He was the best player. His team won. The year before that, KD over Bron. The year before that, KD over Bron. Yes, KD was better than LeBron in those series. He was better at that time. He was wearing the crown. He was the number one in the league, and he was owning things, and you couldn't stop him. Now, was that a collective team? Because you had Steph, Clay, Draymond, and KD versus LeBron and the Misfit Toys. I don't know, but at the end of the day, KD dominated those series. We'll give him the edge and say he was the best player. Could have been LeBron, but it was close. Before that, Bron over Steph, the ultimate 3-1 comeback, all the different things, 2016, an incredible run. LeBron was the best player over Steph. He wins. The year before that, Steph over LeBron. Now, LeBron had no Kyrie. He had no Kevin Love. I still believe that if Kevin Love didn't separate his shoulder in game 1, they would have had a chance. But they lost. It came down to nothing. Steph wins. That was their year. That was a pretty good year. I don't know. So LeBron, Steph again. You could argue that one. Kawhi and Duncan over LeBron. They were way too much. Those games were incredibly lopsided. And some of that, I think the best player in that team was revenge. The best player was revenge because the year before that, LeBron got one over Duncan. Ray Allen shot, step back, pull up. I was watching the game with some friends, and I had let's see, she was born in April, so it was June, so I had like a 3-4 month old. And when Ray Allen hit that shot, we're going crazy. She's in bed, and we're waking her up. But it was an amazing moment. But LeBron was still the best. He was the best. Before that, Braun over KD. Fun fact about the Heat over the Thunder in that series. LeBron was the best player over KD, hands down, not even close. But the Thunder were actually favored in that series. Like they were a slight favorite over LeBron and the Heatles at that moment. And then the year before that, Dirk Nowitzki over LeBron. He was not the best player. LeBron was the best player. He had a mental breakdown. Dirk Nowitzki took a complete stranglehold on it. JJ Barea punked LeBron. LeBron was still the best player, but he got beat. So, all that said, what happens if Luka is just that damn good? What happens? I don't know. So my prediction for this series is Boston in 6. The way I see these games playing out, home court advantage doesn't matter. I think Dallas wins game 1, Boston, Boston, Dallas, Boston, Boston. 6 games, 4 wins from Boston, and they take home the crown. Their depth is too much. Dallas can't keep up. It's Boston hanging up their 18th banner and celebrating with the confetti in Dallas. So probably no confetti. But either way, they're going to be celebrating on Dallas's court. And Tatum and Brown, they've been together for a long time. They finally get the ship together. So that's my prediction, and looking forward to it. So like, subscribe, follow, throw in your comments. Let's have this conversation throughout the finals as we drive towards draft and college players getting on campus, all the different things happening over the summertime before we get into the fall. It's going to be a good time. So check it out. Let's keep the conversation going. Looking forward to it. Double Double is out.